The EU has imposed counter tariffs on $28 billion worth of U.S. goods starting next month. The move comes hours after U.S. President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum came into force. The EU said tariffs would include industrial products as well as household tools, plastics and wooden goods. In addition, the measures will also affect agricultural products.
We deeply regret this measure. Tariffs are taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers. They are disrupting supply chains. They bring uncertainty for the economy. Jobs are at stake, prices up. Nobody needs that on both sides, neither in the European Union nor in the United States. The European Union must act to protect consumers and business. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States.
While Southeastern Europe is also bracing for a fallout from Washington's protectionist push, let's bring in Matjaž Nachtigal. He is the head of chair in international relations at the University of Ljubljana. Pleasure to have you on Across the Balkans. Will these countermeasures imposed by the EU protect consumers and businesses in Europe?
European Commission says in these countermeasures also that these measures and countermeasures are not good news for businesses across the region, across the world, and they are not good news for consumers. So it will have a mainly negative impact on many businesses, but it will be a distributional impact on. So some of the businesses may even gain some more opportunities. Some others will probably be or more likely, very likely, negatively affected, especially at the lower levels of the chains of production.
Southeastern Europe relies heavily on EU exports. How vulnerable is the region to Trump's tariffs and now all this trade war that we are witnessing compared to the rest of Europe?
It is vulnerable, not directly, because, as you said, the main trading partner is Europe, but because Europe is trading a lot with the United States and creates a lot of trade surplus, it will certainly have also a negative impact also on the producers and economies in the region, but this will distribute impact. So, for example, steel producers will even gain some opportunities because now the prices of steel are rising. So as long as the producers in the region maintain level playing field with the producers in Europe, they even may gain some opportunities. But on the other hand, this will have a negative impact on all other producers in using metal products, because this will obviously make their production more expensive, and it will be passed on to the producers of car, automobile industry, other producers in metal products. So it will have also largely a negative impact on them. So it depends on their readiness, resilience, alternative pathways of trade, but this is more difficult in practice to achieve in the short period of time. But I would also like to mention that the European Commission statement today also says there is a room for negotiations. So we don't know. There are many uncertainties, many unknowns. There will be talks, and even in these talks, if there is a prudent approach, more prudent than we are currently seeing, in finding some more carefully crafted approaches to the international trade imbalances, it will be very important for the producers and countries in the region also not to be exempted from any agreements, any attempts like it was a case in the previous rounds of trade talks, or also during the global financial crisis, when the countries, producers, and all other businesses were left basically alone at that time.
And could countries in the Balkans that are not even part of the EU, that are just EU members, rely on EU markets in the future if this crisis continues?
I would say more so than in the past. I think that the policymakers, politicians in Europe, as well as policymakers in the region, have learned a lot from the previous crisis, that this would have a large negative impact, social, economic, political, on the entire region. So I think the whole region is now much more an equal partner than it was in the past, still not sufficiently enough, but still it's gaining its momentum. At the same time, I think in this context, it's also important to improve domestic quality of policy making, transparent, responsive public institutions to support businesses to enable more sustainable transition, to make sure that decarbonization will not lead to deindustrialization as the case in
Right.
many other parts of Europe. So these are the challenges ahead of all the partners. So these tariffs will have a negative shocking effect, but it can also lead to more reasonable
Opportunities.
restructuring.
China has already made significant progress in the region. For example, even some of the EU countries like Hungary and Balkan countries like Serbia have close ties with China. Can this trade war lead to the region shifting closer to China?
This is still an early stage. I think the main trading partner is and will remain European market, which is also restructuring and launching new programs, initiatives which will also offer opportunities for producers and countries in the region. In this sense, global trade patterns will probably shift away slowly, gradually, but it's happening already in the last 8-10 years, not so much to rely on the US market as the market of last resort, but to other markets like European markets, Middle East markets, Asian markets, and in this sense, I think the global patterns of trades are slowly shifting, and the focus, the locus of these trade patterns is also shifting.
And at the end, I want to end on a positive note. We mentioned opportunities. Is there any sector that can actually benefit from this situation between the EU and the US in the region? Can we expect more domestic production, or anyone specific that you want to point out?
I would point out the necessary support for young entrepreneurs in new advanced technologies. I think this would be a first step so that all these countries and economies climb the ladder of value chain of production, the higher value chains, so that they will not depend so much on supply, just being mere suppliers to the end products in Europe or elsewhere in the world. So this will be one possible shift from in this green energy toward renewables. It is a very demanding process, but I think it is necessary to achieve it also in the Southeast Europe, so that they will maintain or increase competitive edge in the future green energy transition.
Matjaž Nachtigal, thank you. And thank you for watching. See you next time from me and the whole team here in Istanbul. Bye-bye for now.